On this video, I'm going to explain you how I normally route my sessions. Right after the BCAs, I'm going to create two tracks, one stereo auxiliary input and one stereo audio track. The auxiliary track gets the input of a bus that is not being used. I normally would use bus 21, 22. The output would be bus 23, 24, and the input to the audio track will be that bus input, 23, 24. I'll make sure that these tracks are on solo isolation. I put the audio track on I, so it's input only. It's inputting what we're gonna send from this track. I call this and I put it on bracket 2 bus. The reason I create this track is if I want to do overall processing of the mix, I'll do it on this. If I want to on this track, if I want to add EQ, compression, or anything like that towards the end. And then this one, I normally call it mix or print, whatever you want to call it. I normally call it mix. I will color these 3 tracks red. So here's my print and my mix. I will normally don't do much to the master or don't do anything to the master other than add something that I use, which is called SonarWorks. And I think it's under sound field. SonarWorks. Dun. I normally I use this thing, especially if I'm working on headphones. These are the headphones that I own. I use many headphones, but these are some of the headphones that I use. So there's a correction for that. If not, I suggest that you put a trim plugin just to not distort the output of your D2A. Again, same thing. Trim. I'll probably put it to -6 on that one. The only reason is you want to not distort it. And again, is the master. Now, I'm going to change these labels. I'm going to right click on bus 21, 22. So my right click is not working. There you go. And I'm going to call this again 2 bus. Then I'm going to right click on the 23, 24 and I'll call it print or mix. So I know everything is going there. And then I'll send all my tracks and I'm going to press, after I've selected all of my tracks, I'm going to press Shift Option so that it affects all of them. And I'm going to route them to that 2 bus. So now all of my tracks are going into this track. Let me just drag the trim so that I can show you that if I decrease the level of this one, is affecting the print. If I increase it, it will affect that level. So anything that I do on this track will affect this. When you're ready to print your mix, we'll go back to our selections that we previously did. Our locations, bounce. So we're ready to bounce. I'm going to hit stop. I come here, I press record, and I'm going to start recording my mix. Why do I do it like that? The reason being is this that we're printing in theory right now is mix number 1. We send this to the client, and the client asks you to do less vocals, more drums, and so on and so forth. There's a whole bunch of, hopefully not that many, comments that will come back to you. So you want to do those changes, and that change maybe increase the vocal and decrease the loop or whatever the case may be. And I hit stop, assuming that I had done it all. And here's my second version. So I'm going to create a new playlist. By the way, there are things that I'm assuming that you guys know. If you don't know them, please throw me a comment and I'll make sure that I do a video on those things. And I'm going to call this version 2. So print version 2. And on my version 2, I have that there with the changes that I did. If I want to compare it, let me go back to what I would normally do, which is here's my original version. Let's go through the vocal part. Okay, so we're listening right now live because the eye is on. Here's the vocal part. And they asked us to lower the volume of the vocal. So I'm going to lower it by a lot now. Almost not listenable. Let me bring it a little bit up. If you want to compare this, it's just as simple as pressing on the eye. So this is right now the current volume of the vocal. And without the eye was the original level of the vocal. One more time, I'm going to drop it by a lot so that we can hear it. This is the old level of the vocal right now because the eye is not selected. Original volume of the vocal. New volume of the vocal. Once I press it's a shadow there. Okay, so that's how I compare my original mix to the one that I'm tweaking to make sure that I'm actually doing the changes that they asked me for. This is the basic routing that I do on all of my sessions. One thing that I may do afterwards is I may create, for example, a subgroup, which would be an auxiliary track of my basses, for example. So in this case, I'm going to get, let's say the basses will go on 17, 18. The reason I'm going to these lower numbers is because I normally use the higher numbers, bus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on and so forth, to reverbs, delays, and things of that nature. I make sure that the output goes to the 2 bus. I make sure that this goes on solo isolation, so Command S. I'll label it. I'm very picky with my labels. And in brackets will be the bass so that I know it's a subgroup. And I will route these 3 tracks to 17 and 18. If you want to change the name, again, right click on it, rename, and I'm going to say bass. I use the brackets for auxiliary tracks. So now these 3 tracks are going into this track, output of the 3 going into this track, and the output of this track will go into the 2 bus. And here I can do plugins that will be added to that, that will affect all of the 3 previous tracks. I hope this helps, and I'll get into a couple new videos coming up. The next one will be the reason why we should enable this called delay compensation. I hope that you guys are getting something out of this. Please drop me a comment if you have any questions. Bye-bye.